Yeah, I know. How's it going?
Yeah, well, that's the way I understand it. Because I agree, I looked at the thing on
I know, that's what I thought. That was the, you know.
but then when you look at this on
Yeah.
page 2, it shows Thank you. Good. Yeah, this is
Good evening and welcome to the Morrisville Borough Council meeting of Tuesday, January 20th, 2015. Please stand for a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If there's anyone that wishes to speak this evening, if they would please step forward if they haven't already and sign the sign-in sheet. Fred, would you pick that up? Okay, may I have a roll call, please, Mr. Bates?
Dave LaBella.
here.
Nancy Sherlock.
Here.
Fred Kerner.
Here.
Victor Cicero.
Here.
Jeffrey Johnson.
Here.
Ian Chronicle.
Here.
Ted Parker.
Here.
Todd Sanford.
Here.
Debbie Smith.
Here.
Junior Council Person Nicholas Iran.
Here.
And Sean Kilkenny and
Barbara Murley for Sean Kilkenny this evening.
Marley's taking her place. Tom Bates and Robert Stewart is also here.
All right, first we will have a presentation from Tony Spagnoli of the Pennsylvania Environmental Council. He'll be presenting an update on the Bridge Street Canal obstruction. You may recall, I think it was last spring actually, that he had come out. So if you want to come forward, please.
Thank you. Looks like I'm good here. Thank you for having me out again. I did want to just provide a quick update, and then I'll explain sort of the main reason I'm here. So yeah, I was here last spring when we concluded the Bridge Street pedestrian crossing plan on behalf of Morrisville. we worked with a committee of stakeholders from Morrisville to kind of come up with this idea of how do we get from the D&L Canal across Bridge Street to the other side to make a kind of a seamless connection. If you'll remember, the Pennsylvania Environmental Council does this kind of work on a regular basis, and we're specifically focused on the segment of the D&L Canal to eliminate the 5 obstructions in Bucks County that kind of prevent continuous usage. So this is part of what we do. The solution that the steering committee came up with, and I want to reiterate that this was very much a consensus kind of a solution, was that we would build a bridge that would ramp up from a ramp that would come up from the D&L Canal trail to Bridge Street. There's about an 8-foot grade difference. Cross Bridge Street perpendicular to the street at grade with some warning signs and flashing lights to alert automotive travelers, and then ramp back down to the trail just adjacent to the pond site at the fireworks property. So that's the assumption we've been going on, is that this will still go ahead. We've been trying to move this project forward. We had been focused on the Tyburn Road obstruction just south of here a little bit for the past 6 months or so. There's been particular action happening on that where we've been trying to iron out a specific easement between Amtrak and DCNR. So we haven't had a lot of time to focus on this, but that has moved forward, so we're actually able to get back to this one, which is really nice. We just kind of had to prioritize DCNR's resources, which are few and far between. So, so what we've done in the meantime is we did get an appraisal for, there's a little bit of land that would need to be eased, both on the north and the south side of the property. So in the meantime, we got an appraisal for those pieces of land. The Lehigh Rubber facility, the appraisal is still underway, but it should be done at the end of the month. The appraisal is already done for the south side, so that's the fireworks property. So it's just a very small piece of land. I think they're like a few hundred square feet each, and the appraised value is very small. So that's just kind of a formality that we have to go through when we're getting the easement for that. So we have some ideas about funding for that, and we think we'll be able to fund those fairly easily. It'll be total under $10,000, not including legal fees. But so we're pretty confident about that acquisition part, and that's really a key component of moving the project forward. So because we have that pretty much underway and we feel confident about it, we're going to be applying for a grant for DCNR, their partnerships grants, their C2P2. And we'd like to apply for a grant on behalf of the Borough of Morrisville, and that's something we typically do. It's sort of also a formality that it's on behalf of Morrisville, so you'd be the grant applicant, but PAC would handle all the financial stuff and pretty much all the grant management. It would just be the fact that Morrisville supports this grant and would be the recipient of the services that the grant stipulates. So in order to do that, the first step, those grants are due in April, and the first step of that would be to get the resolution of support, which is the kind of the actual reason I'm here, besides the update. Now, the council did provide sort of a generic resolution last time I was here, just like a resolution of support. The one that's needed for this application is a resolution specific to DCNR's paperwork, and Corinne, thank you very much for printing some out because I accidentally forgot a folder at my desk. So I think you should all have a copy of that before you. So it's just a pretty simple resolution of support that says Morrisville, is interested in this project and wants it to move forward. So pretty basic language. I think that's kind of the general gist of everything. There aren't any huge updates right now because it's all been sort of getting this prep work done in order to move forward. The C2P2 grant is really the main mechanism that we are able to fund projects like this. It's a really fantastic grant that DCNR gives, and they provide quite a bit of money for it every year. So, no questions?
A quick question.
Sure.
From the solicitor's office, does this involve usually a sort of cooperation agreement or anything?
It would. There would be some sort of, yeah, exactly, to transfer the money. Yeah, there would be, before any money got dispersed, there would be like an agreement between PEC, Morrisville, and DCNR that said PEC would be the financial recipient of the finances, and then we would do all the grant management and so on. And we could provide, we've done this before, so we could provide examples of how that.
We've also done a lot of those in the municipalities,
Sure.
you know, similar kind of circumstances.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have one quick question, if it's council's pleasure. This is actually, currently, it's placed at the very end of the, would be at the end of the agenda, but if you'd like to be here for that vote, and everybody agrees, we can move it up. That's,
Yes.
I would appreciate that.
okay,
Thank you.
good. So just, with that being said, you know, everything else will stay the same. We'll just move, in fact, it wasn't on here because, I guess, because we didn't have the official copy. So it will actually be 10J, and we'll move that up later, shortly, okay?
Thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions? We're excited about that, we're glad that the Tyrone Road issues
Yeah.
are somewhat behind some of us.
We hope so. Hopefully this will, if, you know, funding kind of sets up in order, this would be able to possibly be done by, very conservatively, maybe the, end of 2016, or more likely like spring or summer of 2017, so.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the hearing of the public. And, you know, Andy Milionis was the first one on the list, I'm still looking for it now. Please come forward.
Good evening, Annie Milionis, 142 West Hendrickson Avenue, Morrisville. I'm here tonight just to briefly talk about our kids in this town. We have two schools. We have Holy Trinity and we have Morrisville School District. And I just wanted to let you know that there's some great things happening in both schools. At Holy Trinity, I work with the kids doing environmental programs. We've certified habitat at the school. We have done programs where we planted bulbs at the library with 4-year-olds. There were 380 bulbs planted at the Morrisville Library with 32 4-year-olds this fall. So I just wanted to let you know that that's a great program that Holy Trinity has opened their arms to letting us work with the kids who attend that school. And tonight specifically, I'd like to talk about something that's going on at the high school. Coming up on February 7th, if you haven't seen it on Facebook or have seen it posted here at Borough Hall or at the library, I just want to make sure that everyone knows about Saving Our Songbirds event. The Aviator Club of Morrisville High School is hosting an event on February 7th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And they will be looking to have Morrisville become a Audubon bird town. And to that end, they are having all kinds of family and community events going on that day. There'll be birdhouse making, there'll be bird feeder making, nest material, socks will be made, bake sale, and Penn State Master Gardeners will answer your gardening and houseplant questions. There'll be all kinds of activities. We welcome everyone to come. If we want to ensure our future, we have to make sure that we support our kids and support what they're doing. And this is a group of students that want to do something very positive in town. So I highly recommend that all of you come and spend at least a little time, bring friends, family, and build a birdhouse and learn more about Audubon Bird Town and what it would require. And I am just so proud of these kids for coming up with this and wanting to take this on. This is something I had attended this class with Audubon 2.5 years ago and learned about a bird town, and I'm so proud that they are taking this activity on and really want to make this happen. So I ask for the community's support and I ask for council's support to make sure that you're there and just come for a little while. Just show your face. I think it'll mean a lot to them. Right? Thank you very much.
Quick question.
Yes.
Do signs, you know how when you have a tree town?
Yes.
So there'll be possibility to have some signs that?
Yes, there is a
Is there some cost
process.
to that, or?
There is a process that has to be gone through. First of all, Audubon requires that a minimum of 50 households pledge to have an environmentally clean yard and take the clean yard pledge. So we'll need homeowners to make that pledge. I myself am already an Audubon Habitat certified yard, and I'm right here in town, and that's an easy thing to do. There's going to be lots of information about that. Then there is a fee, and the kids are hoping to raise the money for the fee. But it's the town would also have to have an annual Audubon event, another thing that they'd be looking to participate in and create. That could even tie in with other events that are going on already, like our night out or the mayor's picnic or something like that. As long as there is information booth and activities so people can learn about Audubon and the Borough Town. But there are signs, there is a fee. But the kids are looking to do most of this work with other community members. So I applaud them, and I think it's awesome. And I'm backing them 100%.
Have they made this part of the curriculum somewhere in science, or is it an additional?
This is an after-school club, which I believe has about 18 to 20-some kids in it, and with a broad spectrum of representation from all different kinds of backgrounds, which I think is awesome as well. And it's run by a teacher at the high school, and it includes students from currently 5th through 11th grade. And they've made seed bombs, they're going to teach you how to make native plant seed bombs. I mean, there's all kinds of fun activities. It's gonna be a great day.
That's great.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
February 7th, 11 to 3, right?
Posters are on Facebook, they're in the library, and they're down here if you can't remember the date, all right?
This is at the high school, right? In the
It's at the
cafeteria?
high school gym,
Oh, the gym, okay.
at the high
Thank
school
you.
gym. Thank you.
Next, we have Brian Gorman.
Hi, Brian Gorman, 508 Stockham Avenue. This is relatively new information to me, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but I just wanted to bring it up. The fact that the borough has considered a fee to charge resident and non-resident Morrisville Little League members. Just a few things I'd like to say about it. Again, not knowing too much about the fine details, some considerations. You know, I know that a lot of the influx of people coming in to play Morrisville Little League happen to be from Yardley, Lower Makefield, which is a great thing for the league and also for the community. We get people down in that park who normally wouldn't be in the borough, and I know they frequently go to local restaurants, convenience stores, and they're spending some time in the borough that normally wouldn't be here. So I think that maybe we should set up a meeting between our board and the borough council and have maybe we can hash some things out and come to a conclusion.
Well, I don't want to interrupt you, but I did get a call from Representative Sarah's office today.
Okay.
He'd like to meet with the borough manager, myself, and the representatives from your board sometime between now and next Friday.
That would be
But
great.
I don't have a date or time yet.
Okay, great.
Just this afternoon they called, like,
Good news.
so,
Great, that's all I have then.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, you coming back up? No. Or I have the wrong last name. Tony, did you sign up, Tony, Mr. Spagnoli? No, you didn't. Do you need to come back up? No? Bill Setzer.
Bill Setzer from 806 Crown Street. I'm also the chairperson of the Morrisville EAC, which is the Environmental Advisory Council to the Borough Council. And first of all, I want to thank Tony Spagnoli and the PEC, the Pennsylvania Environmental Council, for all the hard work and effort and time and money they put into bringing an amenity to not just the DCNR and the canal, but something that will perhaps benefit Morrisville as a borough more than any other thing that springs out of this project. This project will allow people to not view Morrisville and their visit on the canal as the spot where you can't get through, but rather as the point where you can get through, continue walking on the canal or biking on the canal, as well as visit our downtown area, which could be a real benefit to our struggling business community for more visitation and tourism. So it's a wonderful thing, and we truly thank you, Tony. I hope the Borough Council will continue to assist them, or perhaps assist them even further in securing the easements both from the fireworks company and Lehigh Rubber, which, according to the agenda tonight, is coming under the auspices, shall we say, of the Bucks County Redevelopment Authority. And I would think there would perhaps be no better time for that easement than now to secure it before any future players come into the picture. Seems like it would be the perfect opportunity. So I hope Corinne, as our liaison, and any other Borough Council members can assist in that effort to get these easements. It's critical, or this will never happen, and it should happen. And by the way, for the public's knowledge, it appears to be happening at no expense to the borough. Amazing. This is at least a $500,000 project that the BEC is bringing to our borough. So thank you again. My other reason for wanting to speak tonight is when I got here, I saw on the agenda that there, 10A, that there's a motion to advertise a floodplain ordinance for publication. I just want the public to know, and the Borough Council to know, that no one has come to the EAC, the Environmental Advisory Council, to even explain what that is, let alone ask our advice on it. I don't know if that's appropriate, but I would think we would be in the loop on that. Same applies to 10H, motion to approve a resolution opposing a proposed hazardous waste treatment facility at the Keystone Industrial Port Complex at Falls Township. I attended the first meeting that the Pennsylvania DEP held on this topic, so did Debbie Colgan of our council, and I think the only representative from the Borough Council there, and I could be wrong, please excuse me if someone needs to speak up, but Corinne was there. But I'm not quite sure how the Borough Council can approve a resolution of such if they haven't attended the meeting or certainly spoken to me or Debbie regarding that. I think there's still a lot of discussion to be had on that, so I'm not sure whether this is the right time, but I'd be very curious to find out why we would be moving forward on a resolution. Once, if it's not passed, does that mean it won't be passed in the future? That's a concern of mine. It's a very important topic. So, again, we feel left out of the loop. We don't understand why. We have plenty to do without being in the loop, but we do take our charge to advise you seriously, and I hope we'll be in discussions on those 2 points as well. So thank you very much.
Bill, with regards to the easements, the Lehigh Rubber would not have been, the RDA would have not taken possession without the easement. It was already pre-approved. So that's taken.
Oh, that's good.
I understand they are in talking, and as Tony said, there have been talks with the other side of the street as well. And as far as the maps are about floodplain maps, these are maps that we have no control over. When Bob Seward does his report, he can mention that to you. These are the floodplain maps that were designed and created by, the state and the government. So they're FEMA maps.
So are you saying that the state has asked us to approve the current maps?
We have to by March 15th.
Okay, that makes that clear. I have no idea what other floodplain information. You definitely don't need our help on that then.
Okay.
And as far as the hazardous waste treatment resolution?
Well, I think this resolution is very generic. It just says that the council, if they go that direction, council disapproves of anything that would be harmful or have a quality of life issue for its residents. And so, being so generic, I thought it was very appropriate. So, and
So
some of us actually watched that movie. I actually watched the Falls on the Falls show, even though we weren't there. I wasn't there personally.
Just so the public knows, on that particular issue, no matter what the Borough Council decides tonight, there's going to be a series of hearings at Falls Township on the hazardous waste treatment facility that's planned for that site. So you may want to attend if they're pretty interesting.
And
very
it's
informative.
a long haul. This is the very beginning of the process. I understand that. I think we all do understand. But
Right.
to make a statement, just talking about quality of life and making sure everything's done properly. I don't see any harm in it, but I'm just one person, so.
Oh, I don't have a problem. We haven't arrived as the EAC. We've discussed it since that first meeting and even prior to it. I don't think we've arrived at a final decision, but it's certainly your prerogative, and I hope whatever decision you arrive at has some bearing on the result. Thank you.
One other thing.
Yes.
If it doesn't get passed today, and we need to pass it later, I'm sure the council will go that direction.
It's not a death kiss on the resolution. Okay, thank you.
Next, Bill Farrell.
Bill Farrell, 347 North Pennsylvania Avenue. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
That's the last of the pleasant things for me. Thank you. I read an article in the paper last Thursday, or Wednesday or Thursday, about the lights being changed, the street lights, the heating system being changed over to gas, the doors, the windows, air conditioning. And the article mentioned about the communication system. Before I start, I want to try something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Testing. Are we on?
We are.
People have been coming up to me for the last couple months and are trying to figure out what's going on. So my problem is that I know the agenda is on Facebook. Well, I don't deal with Facebook because you people were complaining about people putting stuff on Facebook that wasn't true.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we don't put the agenda on Facebook. It's on our website, if that's what you mean.
It was on the website?
Yes.
I
But we
thought
don't put it on
the-
we don't put it on Facebook.
That's what somebody told me. I don't know.
Okay.
But I read
Want to clarify.
your
Okay.
thing that the government part of the system is not operational. It has been operational for how many years? For quite a while. My question is, who's working on it? Mo, Larry, and Curly? Why does it take so long? Because you said they were incompatible. That was in the paper, okay? What's taking so long? Anybody know? I guess not,
Maybe he can address that.
Go ahead, Mr. Bates.
Our old system is not speaking to the new system when it comes time to actually, for the government piece of the channel where we actually put out the information.
Yeah, it is today. It went, I didn't look today, but it's been like that.
It's been a work in progress, and the project hasn't been finished.
And a Taj Mahal is a work in
today.
progress too.
Everything's a work in progress till the project is finished.
Okay, because a lot of people-
It hasn't been finished, but it's working today.
A lot of people-
This part of the project is finished as of today.
Well, if people come up to me tomorrow and say something, I'll be down to see you, Mr. Bates.
I'd be glad to see it.
I don't know if you would. One other thing, I only had a couple things, then I looked at this agenda, and there's 3 things on there that got my hair up, what's left. What's your intentions where the pool was? I know back last year you talked about putting a garden in with fences around it to grow vegetables or some crazy stuff. That was back, you had mentioned that, and I'm saying, you people are out of your mind to do that. First things first. Motion intending to set the salary of the controller to 000. Based on that, I think you people have every intention of eliminating the controller position in this borough, which has been here for almost 30 years. I don't know whether it's true or not. We'll find out on election day. The other thing is to repeal ordinance 845 relative to somebody living in a borough or outside the borough could become your borough manager. That's another one that's got my hair up. All right. The one here for to accept the resignation of Pat Portash's tax collector. Is there an effective date on that, or just you're accepting her resignation?
We're accepting a resignation, but we must appoint within 30 days of notice, which was the 8th of January.
So by next month, okay. Is it still open to apply?
Yes, we received 2 or 3 today.
My question is, what are the qualifications to become tax collector?
Well, I'm not going to go through them this evening, but I think anybody who's interested would try to find that out first. And they could actually research Act 164, which would help out.
At where?
Act 164 would explain it more.
Okay. Well, because I got something online, may not even be involved with it. It says, you should have an education in a BA in business or accounting, but that's may not necessarily be true. This was from the online. Oh, relative to the controller's position, the Borough Council wanted the controller to come down here to conduct his business during the daylight hours. My problem is, if you elect a tax collector, I think the tax collector should as well be mandated to come to this borough and be here. I've been going to her house for a number of years. But if you're going to single out the controller, then you better single out the tax collector and have them have an office available. I don't mean put a thing in a box, because you can't get a receipt there. Nobody stamps it. So maybe you people should consider having a spot down here for the tax collector with the borough records. I don't know whether you would do it or not, but it's just a suggestion. Okay. I saved the best for last. By mid-next February, people should know who are running for elections in this town. For the Borough Council, I believe the school board, I forget how many's up there, I don't know. But I know there's 4 in the borough. People in Morrisville, you're like an ostrich with your head in the sand. Get your head out of the sand and look around and get some information on the people that are running. The people that will be running this borough for the next 4 years, or not quite 4, because some other elections come up in 2 years. It's time to get awake. Morrisville, if anybody thinks Morrisville's getting better, I got the Brooklyn Bridge to sell you. I'll sell it to you cheap. My whole theory is, people are voting in this town, and they're voting for names. Don't do that. Get some information on the people running, the candidates, and vote for them. I know it's difficult, but unfortunately, when you get 20% of the town votes during an election, it's crazy. It's nuts. But don't complain about getting run over by a bulldozer, because you put the guy driving the bulldozer driving that. So get prepared, because by the mid-February, I believe everybody has to have their papers put in to run for the positions. And you say, now I could put a letter and say I want the tax collector job, right?
Correct.
But I should check Act 164 first. Okay. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll throw my hat in the circus in the arena, because there's a lot of hats in that arena. Bigger clowns than me. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay. Next, Kurt Holdenrich.
Kurt Holdenrich, 300 Melvin Avenue. Good evening. Just want to reiterate some of Bill's points. The biggest one is the residency ordinance. You've operated for what, 3-4 years disregarding this ordinance. You're charged with enforcing those, not doing what you want. And I urge council to enforce the ordinances before they even haphazardly get rid of them. I know Tom might have been watching because he doesn't care, doesn't matter to him. He says to get rid of it, he's going to get rid of it, and we're the ones who get shafted because for 4 years now, wherever, you disregarded an ordinance, but you expect everyone else in town to follow all the ordinances, and you won't do it yourself. That's pretty embarrassing as council members and mayor and all that, that you won't even follow those when you hire a manager. You just say, screw it, I'm going to just hire this guy. Operate under those guidelines. Is like, who cares? To get rid of it now seems kind of, it may be a good thing, bad thing to open up the pool, but to operate for years disregarding it is pretty offensive to the residents of the town. And that's it, and it's pretty sad.
Thank you. Just for the public's knowledge, they may or may not remember, we used to have another borough manager some years back who did not live in Morrisville.
The ordinance wasn't in,
Yes, it was.
was it?
Yes, it was.
It should be on. But then you're right, there's an ordinance.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to debate, I just want the public to know that.
Your job is to follow the
Because
ordinance.
people are forgetting history, I guess. Okay, next we
So
have
it's
Walt.
okay to keep breaking the rules.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hi, Walt Trivy, 536 Delora Drive. I have a couple things, but first, I want to get this one out. Oh, first, thanks for council, because you are representing us as a town. This is my first thing. I've had a light that's been out for 15 years, I want to guess. I don't know if it got knocked down or what. All of a sudden it's down, never to be returned. The reason that bothers me is because when I back out of my driveway, I'm afraid I'm going to hit somebody because you cannot see people on a dark night. And so it's between 536 and 534, at the bottom of Will, there's a light that's totally gone. So, and like I say, and another thing that happened is I actually had a car parked out front that got hit because somebody probably didn't even see it there. So, but I'm more concerned with people walking and not seeing them. Next thing you know, I'll back out of the driveway and hit somebody and don't know it. Because you can look down, at least see somebody coming through the light, you know what I mean? But I can't. So if that is something you guys can fix, I just appreciate it. But that's not why I'm here tonight. I'm here because I got a bunch of friends here from Morrisville, Italy. What I brought with me is some history. This is from a boy 12 years old, 1969. That would be me. This is from me, a coach last year, Morrisville, Italy, 2014. Why? Because it's still here. I try to write it down because I want to get through it quick. All right. In 1967, my grade consisted of 150 kids, which would mean about 75 boys. That's a big number. We played games on fields that we could find, and that was regardless of the league because we were playing all the time. Try that today, because kids don't do that. In 2008, my son graduated high school here. 66 kids. That means 33 probably boys, maybe. So there's a big difference. You went from 75 to 33 in that amount of time, and it's still sinking. So, in order, our league is not going to ever be the same as it was. It's just not. Because we don't have those tools in the town. Alright, what Little League brings to Morrisville is a strong organization that constantly changes its leaders, but not its principles. By being strongly run and offering children the very best in competition and training, we are able to stay strong. Help businesses such as Dairy Queen, Anthony's, Menino's, Antonio's, and the other pizza joint I didn't name get business. Little League is a non-profit organization, and we pour all of our money back into the league. In my 20 years, we have put lights on 2 fields, we built a softball field, batting cage, and resurfaced the fields constantly, which starts at $10,000. I'm not sure why you guys thought about the head tax, and I know they've said it's done in other towns. But those towns also turn that money back in the league, which we do the work anyway. We're doing the work, paying the money back in. So I'm not sure why they just differential between borough kids, non-borough kids, because they're kids. Kids are kids. Let's not forget that this is an organization, just like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, or even churches. Some people go to churches that aren't in their own town, but they're an organization. You join to get involved. the league maintains a strong leadership by choosing the right people to move the league forward. Our goal is to make sure we follow the rules of Little League, and if they allow us to broaden our boundaries, which they do, to expand beyond our town, that is good for our league. It's good for our children, and you need the children to play to get better. There is not a greater feeling than when you go to the park and see a high school playing, see our high school playing, and you look over there and I'll point out, like if I'm coaching a 10-year-old, I go, yeah, I coached that kid before, and I look over in that Little League field, know that he got a start in our Little League because he was playing alongside other kids. And some of those kids weren't even the best kids in our Little League, but because they got that start, they might have been playing at the high school. We can't change society. We can't make parents force their kids to play. It's a passive society we're dealing with. We as Little League coaches provide direction and teach the game to every child that joins. Please continue to support these guys because they may not all live in our town, but I guarantee you, most of them have a thing on their car that says Morrisville because I see it all the time riding around. And they care about every kid that's in that league, and they treat them equally. So I just want you guys to know that they are keeping this league strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Walt.
Thank you.
Walt, if I may, your recent email. I just wanted Walt to know your recent email about that streetlight was shared with all council.
Okay, thank you.
And I think Bob was looking into it too.
We did look into it. It's a thing with Pico.
And we didn't know, I know you said 15 years, but we weren't made aware of it until just recently. So it's not like we ignored it for 15 years. Thanks.
Yeah, when we looked into that light too, that wasn't part of the project because the light was never there when they did the assessment of the project, that's why.
Next we have, I'm going to move up even before the approval of the minutes. Is that all right? Is everybody okay with that? So we'll move up 10J. We're closing the hearing of the public at this time. We're going to move to 10J, and this will be a motion to approve a resolution to undertake the following project, D&L Trail, ECG Bridge Street obstruction.
So moved, Mrs. Chairman.
Second. So, any questions or actually, we're going to have, Friend's going to read the resolution first, and then we'll have questions or comments on it.
There is a part here that asks for the title. Should I just put Council President there at number 1?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think, because, I'm sorry, I don't let the projects, just tell council. The grant agreement, or I mean, normally the agreements are signed by the,
As I understand it, the borough will be the applicant, is that right?
Yep.
So I would say yes.
Yeah, that's correct, it would be on behalf of the borough.
The Council President.
Okay, go ahead, Corinne.
Okay.
You got it?
Whereas Morrisville Borough applicant desires to undertake the following project, D&L Trail / ECG Bridge Street obstruction engineering, and whereas the applicant desires to receive from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources Department a grant for the purpose of carrying out this project, and whereas the application package includes a document entitled Terms and Conditions of Grant and a document entitled Grant Agreement Signature Page, and whereas the applicant understands that the contents of the document entitled Terms and Conditions of Grant, including appendices referred to therein, will become the terms and conditions of a grant agreement between the applicant and the department if the applicant is awarded a grant. And now therefore it is resolved that the grant agreement signature page may be signed on behalf of the applicant by the official who, at the time of signing, has title of council president. 2. If this official signed the grant agreement signature page prior to the passage of this resolution, this grant of authority applies retroactively to the date of signing. 3. If the applicant is awarded a grant, the grant agreement signature page signed by the above official will become the applicant grantee's executed signature page for the grant agreement, and the applicant grantee will be bound by the grant agreement. 4, any amendment to the grant agreement may be signed on behalf of the grantee by the official who, at the time of the signing of the amendment, has the title specified in paragraph 1, and the grantee will be bound by the amendment. I hereby certify that this resolution was adopted by the Morrisville Borough Council on the applicant this 20th day of January 2015.
Okay, you've heard the resolution. Are there any questions or comments? We have a first by Jeff and a second by Corinne. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 8-0. Thank you, Mr. Spinelli.
Thank you very much.
And we'll get this, since we just got this evening, the copies, the official copies, how did you want them sent to you?
Just
Regular mail?
by mail, yeah, there's not a huge
Regular
rush
mail's
on
okay?
it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else that we need to do? So next we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. We have the first set, which is the Borough Council budget meeting of November 24th, 2014. This is draft number 2. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 8-0. Next, we have the regular Borough Council meeting of December 15th, 2014. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second that.
Jeff and Fred. Any questions or comments on this motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. On page, I'm sorry, let me get this microphone going. On page 3, for a set of minutes that's pretty much verbatim, it was reduced to Mayor Ravella made a statement regarding Ted Parker's comment. And I remember that comment very well because we were discussing a previous set of minutes and I said, well, even though I'm not in the minutes,